President Trump has ordered a total and complete blockade of sanctioned oil tankers going in and out of Venezuela. For months now, the Trump administration says the US military is striking boats off the coast of Venezuela to stop the flow of illegal drugs. The message was undercut this week, none other by the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, told Vanity Fair the strikes are really more about Venezuela's leader. She says Donald Trump wants to keep on blowing boats up until Maduro cries uncle. Christopher Sabatini is the senior fellow for Latin American affairs at Chatham House with me now. What is it about Maduro and Venezuela that has got Donald Trump so agitated? The social media posts talking about he wants to recover the assets that were stolen and all of these things. Tell me more.
Richard, it's a good question. And there are a number of reasons that are driving this. The first one is, let's remember, in 2019, the Trump administration in its first term tried to unseat Maduro when it embraced an opposition plan to create an interim democratic government after Nicolas Maduro had stolen the 2018 elections. And then it went ahead and recognized that government, convinced other governments to recognize this fictional Juan Guaido government, interim government, and basically threw a lot of weight behind it, including supporting mass demonstrations and trying to jam across a humanitarian convoy. Donald Trump even welcomed Juan Guaido at his State of the Union address in 2019, and that fizzled out. The military didn't switch. The government eventually just collapsed, and Juan Guaido now lives in Miami. So when he came back into office, he had a grudge match. But he also, during the campaign, if you remember in 2024, he mentioned Venezuela in two ways. The first was claiming, erroneously, that a Venezuelan drug gang, the Tren de Aragua, had overtaken a village or town in Colorado, Aurora. And then he also claimed that President Nicolas Maduro had opened his mental institutions and his prisons and tried an attempt to flood the U.S. with criminals and make the country more insecure. So those domestic drivers and his past failures and a grudge match are driving it. But also with Marco Rubio now as Secretary of State and acting national security advisor, what we see is also a combination of a neocon Marco Rubio, who really for him, Cuba and Venezuela, the socialist regimes are really enemy number one. So he's driving a lot of this as well, and he's driving it more towards regime. But you're right, the narrative's been changing all along.
But the ability to blockade these sanctioned tankers, which will deal a near death blow to the economy, can they bring down, in your view, Maduro without boots on the ground?
Well, let's first say, I mean, there's been numerous attempts and numerous rumors. And in fact, you mentioned this earlier in your report, that there are beginning to be splits within them. But this has always been the case. John Bolton very famously in 2019 said that the inner circle around Maduro were like scorpions in a bottle. And that they wouldn't last long. They're still there. And the truth is this will put a real squeeze. For example, 80% of Venezuela's exports are illicit oil that go through these sanctioned boats. So if you close that down, as Donald Trump is promising he will now do, you're going to basically kill the revenue. But also, Venezuela is a food importing country and a medicine importing country. So it will kill local commerce and service industries, as well as seriously reduce food. So maybe it could provoke some splits, but it's going to cause some human suffering if this goes on for much longer, too.
I was noticing the words of the Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, who it's a difficult area for other Central and Latin American leaders who don't want to be seen to be allowing the US to trump all over the region in this heavy-handed fashion, but at the same time have no love lost for the dictatorship of Maduro.
That's exactly right. In fact, if you look at public opinion polls in Latin America, whether people would support military action that would remove Maduro, it's actually a majority of Latin American citizens agree. But that isn't the case in the United States. According to a YouGov poll, less than 20% of Americans would support a U.S. invasion of Venezuela. And part of that is, again, this changing narrative that Trump has used multiple times. But yes, there is no love lost. I mean, more than 8 million Venezuelans have fled the economic collapse, largely caused by Nicolas Maduro. They are, While most of the drugs that enter the United States are not coming from Venezuela, as Donald Trump claims, there is a huge transnational network, a human trafficking network,
Right.
illegal gold mining network that is run by the Venezuelan government.
I'm grateful to you, sir.